Greenhill Fall Classic Round 3 versus Jason.
Or is it the same thing that you sent me over?
I didn't make any changes.
I haven't gotten it. Did you get my email right?
I
got it.
I got it now. Sorry. Downloading. Wait. I'm just opening it. I'll just tell you what. Alright, go.
Alice, good. In the United States, also guaranteed the right to housing advantage when its affordability price are starting getting worse in Galway A18. Housing is grabbing with affordability prices mortgage research with an average 30-year loan at 7.09%, showing prices loan and affordability plummeting last in 1984. The latest the Fed meeting revealed concerns about inflation hitting out for the rate hikes. Real estate is significant risk factor that long since lowered leverage rate. Every thousand American life has gotten warped by the high cost of housing in cities expert. Churches to suburbs and rural areas, inequality slash productivity and slippers. Untouched the cost of rent and price eat up young family structures, inability to inventors to move cautious, lunch and inability of workers to move dense GDP, housing prices, access to wealth transfer from renters to landowners, the biggest generator of financial disparities. The right housing is also supply shortages that curtailing zoning restrictions that hinder housing construction and resources. HR 22. Specific policies that address only one tool use to limit housing rental communities changing needs and supply offers clear recourse, enables those independently with the community's needs to shape growth. The local governance considers needs of less wealthy and influential residents. Local control reduce package policies requiring things increasing approval placed on the prosecutor court to encourage municipalities at the outset or settle a wholesale elimination and affordable housing measures. Draw political advantage of piecemeal approach provides multiple opportunities to showing progress. Residents critique that promoting grant windfalls to developers addressing affordable housing developers brings us a financial interest present strong extended to martial research community organization have been powerful for enforcing protection of strong norm bolster community acceptance shaping social and political values and the right size and crush productivity, innovation, wealth, and equality. It's first causal the plan increasing growth by 9%. Dominant 101 and price exceed cost of building higher incomes and cities drop people keeping the price permanently high. Supply has not been able to keep New York prices are up 706%. San Francisco's at 932%. Price range for tax cost of building incomes is proxy for how much is driven by restriction. New York lot density tested falters contributing cost of things and how many other supersized cities and millions which adjust mean use of skills and total GDP would be 9.9% higher. That is how much the U.S. contracted in the second quarter of 2020, and illegal right that curtails regressive zoning laws has been necessary and sufficient to ensure affordability, which is the primary government domestic implementation of the right housing. Let's equal 20. Affordability is tenure and location of the primary housing problem and advanced economy. Simple economic principles explain variation homelessness. Watch change to availability substantially reduce homelessness. The right does not regard free housing to someone obligation to promote actually more needed retrogressive measures are priority. The right requires homelessness people minimize the subject to progressive realistic and appropriate legislative administrative and other measures. Realize the right is difficult to define universal terms. Housing costs are running large part result in insufficient supplies and regulation, making construction unaffordable. Time consuming. Any solution that increases supply should be welcome. Solutions that do the reverse should be rejected. Right controls decrease supply. Thus, is not a solution to affordability. Legal standards provide accountability and remedies and affordable housing leads to massive gains in productivity and innovation, reversing hustle development 21. So financial instability and inequality contribute to Malay. One big thing makes them all worth that is expensive housing. Housing is important for the overall economy because it determines location and supply of people. Bay Area. The Bay Area is one of the most in demand and expensive. People spend a lot on renting or buying, leaving them less on other things. The problem is getting worse. When housing is scarce in high productivity areas, people are pressed out harder for productive businesses to hire leading skilled staff without assistance, spending time on work that could be done by others. Bigger is better. Productivity per worker rise to present with each shoveling of city says labor pools allow innovators to collaborate. The Bay Area host merchant has 10 cities produce 70% patents. Evidence from sections of the dozen patents such as breakthrough benefit from high density investors to move to bigger clusters, see large increase in productivity, low income communities have been burdened as people have been forced to move away. Growth has occurred to landowners across the Western world has an income determines wealth inequality. So it goes nuclear. Oppenheimer 21. lower growth, make liberal order, towards reverse escalate, politics become polarized as confrontation intensifies, becomes toxic, econ destruction, precursor enabler for econ countries, military aggression, running countries of interdependence, like binding hotspots, career access, Taiwan war, killing states, changing power heights, escalation and preemptive wars, and multipolarity states, anti-acting countries, transition hazards, superpowers, challenge, the demand for nuclear increases, particularly around Saudi, Japan, Turkey, used by new states, asymmetries and doctrines, relative communication between states with grievances, transfer of non-state actors, clears for distribution of power away from America's GDP as most useful measure and protection of power from overall economy, assessing tracking and applied power, plasma mistakes, reckless squandering, and caution in Syria and impulsivity, product declining American capacity, political and economic Jewish leadership researching half-heartedly, republics. Assume power nationalism experience, researching the consensus with the econ crisis, lower growth, joblessness, and weight stagnation, constitutional justice, global collective action, launch, conflict, still serve to instability, group parts escalate, preemptively, weakening security, consider rational, renationalization, multipolar distribution among states, experience, national descent into military competition between great powers, and lead to these major emitters, launching conflict, slowing, warming, slim, competition, incentivizing states to outproduce econ stagnation, job creation, making regulation toxic, one of nationalism causes pursuit relative gains. Next advantages. SDGs progress installed in SDGs, national action, homelessness, keep people on back 21, 23. The U.S. has been misleading ignored relevant to SDGs to domestic priorities by countries. Cities are driving SDGs to accelerate global progress and the ecological global movement. Exchange of experiences, resulting in action, and relying upon the universal nature of SDGs. Counterpunching knowledge and national issues. Homelessness requires addressing poverty that implement in addition to affordable housing activities demonstrate relevant to SDGs in the U.S. from which scalable solutions, micro city struck global action with federal partnership and national commitment. To pursue SDG targets, create national partnership across government to reach people left behind. Provide credibility. U.S. leadership running from hunger, poverty, corruption. Biodiversity opens up greater learning and new partnerships leveraging economic way to serve partners around the world. U.S. hearts global efforts. Cities like laboratories that are across research and data sharing for aid effective groups are local reviews from the partnership with the university possess intellectual capital to conduct micro level analysis. Cut Gupta at micro level analysis. Didn't read anything after that.
Okay. Cool. Alright, are you ready for cross-section spaces?
Yeah.
And a quick thing before can I use your stamp? Thank you. I don't need it.
Alright, I guess, how does the 1AC say that we can necessarily determine the morality of an action?
We would say that extinction is probably bad.
Okay, why?
Kills everyone.
Okay, and that's just bad because it's bad?
Well, no, it's bad because there's future value and extinction.
And what evidence substantiates that?
None.
Okay, I guess how is the plan enforced?
Yeah, so, you can read your, court clock decide. What it just says, we defend the right to housing. Right to housing looks like reducing zoning laws.
Okay, so how is the right to housing enforced?
Enforced?
Yes. What is the enforcement mechanism for the act?
We feel that the United States guarantees the right to
Then
housing.
what does that do? What does that allow people to do? What does that mean?
It reduces zoning laws that allows for construction and affordability.
Okay, construction affordability. Does it let people sue the courts or
And you can read court clock. We think that it definitely has
I
to go.
can read anything, but you can also not link anything.
What?
Alright, I guess what can you explain how affordable housing leads to gains of productivity?
Yeah, so the productivity internal link is a sort of innovation argument. We think that there are potential innovators around the country, but they need to move to bigger cities like the Bay Area and New York to maximize productivity.
So what does it mean by potential innovators everywhere?
It means that people have the potential to innovate, but only if
By
they
moving to New York, how does the plan help them move to New York?
it builds houses where they want it.
Okay, how are we gonna build houses on an island where there's already everything on Manhattan? How does the plan solve that?
What? No, currently we say that there are not enough houses.
Well, yeah, but you can't build more houses on Manhattan. So how are you going, if your internal link is people need to move to New York, then how are you gonna build more houses?
Look, status quo, people aren't building houses because there's no incentive for construction given regressive zoning laws that prevent the building of houses.
Okay.
1AC reduces these zoning laws that prevent housing. Thus, as a result,
so does the plan build houses?
no, we just reduce zoning regulations that allow people to construct houses. We don't fiat that we construct houses. We just reduce zoning regulations that prevent it in the status quo.
Okay, I guess like, so will you concede there's no impact to SGGs as you didn't read one?
We think SDGs can be an internal link to everything.
Okay, how does that work?
What?
How does that work?
SDGs, like, are good.
Okay. Alright,
Oh,
I
it
guess-
talks about inequality.
Inequality, okay. I guess like, on the econ thing, like what's the warrant for why slow growth causes like nuclear war or whatever?
Oh, there's a lot of words in Oppenheimer. It's really long. The first one is this populism stuff. Slow growth causes like people to turn towards populism, which increases
Okay. That's time. I'm gonna send the document.
order.
3.
Oh.
Okay. Here you go. Saved and sent. Really? And I'll signpost some. Sorry.
I don't think it's stable.
Yeah, you might be right.
You need to adjust the hood legs more.
Got it. Okay. Hopefully this doesn't break my $1,000 laptop. Alright, yeah, it's 3 off in the case in the order of SGPs and then decline.
Anyway,
Just get,
You said SDGs first.
yes. So it's 3 off and then after potential 2 after. Yeah, it's just almost swirling for me.
I'm good.
Alright, I just need to sit there. It's doing Come on. No prep stealing here. I am innocent.
Also not stealing from.
Okay. What? Are you kidding? There's another? Okay, there we go. Perfect. That's perfect. Okay, 3 off. And then the case. Alright, here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The 1AC's fear of death is primarily because they cannot control. The desire for control throws away the key on the body, reduced to air life locked in sarcophagus so that life may be destroyed under the pretext of saving it. That's Bojar 76. Security, social control, life blackmail with afterlife and industrial business, convert accident and profit operative everywhere, dispossessing you of your death. Beneath security might live the demand for death, exhausted, riveted to his machine, no longer risk of dying. Already dead, secret of security, surround with sarcophagus to prevent you from dying. Death, miniaturized, technical extension, violation, technization, obsessional neurosis, conning the zone suspension of death through renewing, death stalk, conjuring by security, blackmail, industrial prolongation of death, life, nothing but defensive, doleful, but keeping, walking every risk into the sarcophagus, and Biden is pushing hard for Saudi-Israeli normalization. He's in negotiations with Saudi partners to change the terms they've requested, but any change requires congressional approval. Biden's plan to normalize Israel and Saudi Arabia coming into view, rapprochement underway. Biden said shift in tone. Saudi would open relations with Israel in exchange would secure more U.S. support and assistance. Demands that go over the U.S. to negotiate need approval from skeptical Congress. Parties think window to strike a deal will close within 6 months. Indicated U.S. was open to Saudi demands. Saudi's forced to make a choice between U.S. and China. Need to overcome tricky details. Congress hostility demands hard to satisfy, and increasing housing funding and supply saps Biden's political capital. That's Cohen 3-1. To make it on housing, Biden will need to invest more political capital in pushing for funding some of the biggest pieces of the federal bills that Congress failed to pass. And normalization is key to check back against growing Chinese influence. That's Goyer 8-3. China's rising power, core reason for pursuing deal. Biden is focused on countering China. China recently secured a deal between Saudi and Iran. Biden prioritizing Israeli-Saudi as a way to reassert itself in Middle East. The economy aspect alignment of Chinese and Saudi interests could affect the U.S. economy. China made inroads, sought to buy oil with its own currency, degrade U.S. dollar. Biden could get win in region that hasn't given them any. And ceding regional leadership to China's sphere of influence breeds conflict. It encourages further power, plays in, guarantees war. That's Branch 20. If Beijing dominated their neighborhood, they would undermine democratic governance. U.S. put a disadvantage to not concede Chinese SOI, causing high-stakes crisis, nuclear wars, SOI settlements, ended in war. Ideas, fears are for peace. Rest on assumptions, unexamined, conceding sphere, give the challenger a better position to realize ambitions. China desires to push the U.S. beyond Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And the 50 states and all relevant subnational actors should declare housing as a right in their respective constitutions. States can successfully create their own constitutional right to housing. That's Michigan 21. Policies for restoratability of domestic courts to enforce rights. States can circumvent hurdles by declaring housing a right, and constitutions requires applying IHRI as models. New strategy required ideally in federal legislation. However, historical practice suggests that improbable but more practical state constitutions provide broader protections, easier to amend. States should divide in the same way FG would. All of Canada by declaring housing a human right substance. Positive entitlement mixed with a negative right to shelter. Prohibits states from modifying affordable housing without ensuring adequate substitution. And the United States refers to the federal government. The federal government clearly defined in Article says the U.S. and the USA. 50 states use consistently throughout Title 28 to refer to federal government. In DC 20, Title 28 status govern all federal courts, supreme law of the land, and SGGs. You should be very skeptical of the SGG's advantage, considering they have not read an impact or an internal link to any reason why SGGs are necessary to stop any bad thing from happening, which means that you should not grant the 1AR new answers to this, which means that you should be heavily skeptical of this argument in the first place. But regardless, no private sector, no solvency. Plan and achieve SGGs requires concerted integration of private sector partnerships, necessary innovation, infrastructure, financial backing, private sector backing, more impact on gender equality, environmental sustainability, U.S. government, and private sector recommit to SGGs. And they say that it solves inequality and crossings, but they do not have an impact to inequality, which means that you should not blow it up for them, especially since it's probably one single word in their evidence. And SDGs solve nothing. Trade-offs and liberal actors are failing. That's it in 19. SDGs failing achieve objectives through lack of coordination. They're seen as aspirational governments label what they do anyhow as being the obligation. Hunger has risen for the third year in a row. And global carbon emissions at an all-time high. There's trade-off between SDGs. One goal is achieved to the detriment of other goals. One example is all sea rivers that feed the lake have been diverted to irrigate irrigation, health, food security as a sacrifice aims to protect aquatic wildlife. And they have not indicated a broader spillover claim of how the U.S. economy overall is doing, which means that you should presume negative here because the burden of proof is on them and there is no impact to econ. That's wall 20. War still less likely. The current pandemic is affecting all major powers. Instead, it is all governments. More pessimistic pandemic-induced pessimism should be conducted. The peace war requires close proximity, not something you want in the middle of pandemic governments. Focusing to protect the public. Saudi Arabia winding down is brutal. Campaign in Yemen, discretionary theory. Strikes enemy is unlikely, even if one ignores logical and empirical flaws. It's hard to imagine any country launching a large-scale war when debt levels are soaring. No matter a country's economic condition, leaders will not go to war. Primary motivation is not economic gain. Even if COVID-19 has large effect on the economy, it will not affect the probability of war. And wage stagnation, poverty, diversion of land, and rising oil prices ensure unsustainability. Starving on transition results in worse collapse later. That's still the 18. Poverty and hunger, depletion of resources, biodiversity, climate change represents overconsumption. Capital needs to reduce to infinity. Imbalances by overaccumulating capital are inscribed. Capitalism destroyed basic sources. Structural productivities have not been removed. Only a matter of time before another financial crisis. Neoliberalizing act, skewed land distribution, corollaries to degradation of ecosystems, explanation for the structural vulnerability of the rural market and food crisis derived from financialization, create food crisis and growth causes extinction through disease and surpassing planetary boundaries. COVID proves unsustainability. That's just in 20. Accidental threats posed by capitalism, deterioration of standards under market imperatives, capitalism, testing eco-biological limits of the planet, claim lives of humanity as a whole, root cause of pathogens, increased interaction pathogens, escape their habitat, problem rooted in the structure as a whole, we go extinct as a result of capitalism, and slow growth prevents unfriendly AI. That's Udowski for 13. The reason we won't get it from the idea is research not required to develop stable self-improvement relative to FAA. UFAI can easily cobble together lots of pieces. UFAI paralyzes better from brute force computing power. Slower growth is good news. It lengthens the deadline and gives us more time trying to find investment scenarios based on stagnation. Higher growth is not a good thing for research at less friendly pace and still succeed. An unfriendly AI causes extinction, but friendly AI solves it. That's new 17. An error program whose golden consequence of superintelligence could break. What the heck? Superintelligence would break beyond limits. Sensibilities within an ethical framework would have to be carefully programmed. AI might be the only technology capable of wiping us out gently in the next 6 years. AI could rob us of our humanity. AI can also rid many of our current problems: space travel, eliminate disease, and environmental destruction. They rest on one major issue that benevolent AI is developed. The only solution is fundamentally and irreversibly imbued with respect towards all humans. And I'm going to read the next card. You can skip this one. Prediction sale. That's Samuelson 17. Economists can't forecast. Study that confirms it from the Fed study compared indicators with the actual outcome. These were widespread errors. There are huge margins. Much forecasting has guesswork gap might be widening since 2008. Recent upstats confirm the ignorance. Long-term rates of slow growth of the recovery accompanied rapid decline in unemployment from the collapse of productivity. None of this was anticipated. And decoupling growth from emissions and blocking catastrophic climate change is impossible. That's 221. But first, we see the severe impacts of employment would be uncontrollable external threat. Biology loss is unprecedented. Humans depend on ecosystem scientists. Regrowth betrayed us. Extraction must be quickly curtailed. Most emissions reduction occurred during recession. Reductions in growth are necessary to address all drivers of extinction. Current use already subgrants nitrogen, biology, and climate entropy law illustrated the thermodynamic impossibility of growth trajectory. Even innovation substitution indicates catastrophic outcome. Carbon pricing, improving efficiency, renewable energy, and geoengineering is too risky. Devon's paradox increases use regardless of efficiency. Emissions increase. Mark the card at emissions increase. I'm going to send a mark doc for my own benefit.
emissions increase. Sorry. Okay. Okay, here. Yeah. I'm gonna send it. Or do I need to send it? Okay. Give me a second. I'm just gonna take this out. Alright. Yeah, I am ready for cross-X right now.
I don't know why I just screwed up. Okay. You good?
Yeah.
Status of the counterplan.
Or the counterplan is conditional.
It's conditional?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
What do you mean?
The dissat.
Decide, what about it?
What does Biden need his PC for?
To increase housing supply.
Wait, what?
Housing policies. Or,
No.
oh,
What
you-
does he need the PC?
Saudi-Israeli normalization deal.
What is that? What is the bill?
Okay, so it's not a bill. It's something that needs Congress approval. So basically, Biden has been talking to these MFs and they're like, oh, we want more from you in order to normalize with Israel. And he's like, okay, we'll talk about it, but I need Congress to do it. So basically, Biden is like trying to mediate between Saudi Arabia and Israel, and that requires congressional approval. He wants them to normalize so that he can reassert U.S. presence in the Middle East.
Oh, okay. Case.
Case.
Deep dive-ish stuff.
Yeah.
Yudkowsky, how does Locust prevent unfriendly AI?
Yeah, so I think the evidence specifically says that the higher growth increases like research, so like the increase in innovation that the app talks about is used for AI.
Where do we get friendly AI from?
Slower innovation and that we have time to check back against evil AI.
Evil AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like friendly AI and unfriendly AI. That's the distinction that Yudkowsky makes.
The counter plan.
Yeah.
Massimo talks about, so the counter plan is like instituting a constitutional right to housing.
No, well, I mean, the states would guarantee a right to housing for themselves, not the Constitution of the federal government.
Oh yeah, but states have like their own constitutional right, right?
What do you mean by that?
Like, in the world of the counter plan, states would create their own constitutional right to housing.
Yeah, so it means, yeah, that's the tag, isn't it? It's
How's
like
it enforced?
enforced, same way as the app.
What is that?
Looks like how you described it as. It looks like removing zoning laws so that we can build houses for people in New York and the Bay Area.
Oh, so
Well,
you.
no, I'm just kidding. Not specifically those areas, but like it's the same mechanism as the app.
Okay, so you defend stable normal means well for states to do that.
Yeah, it's like the app, but like states repel the zoning.
Alright, cool. The one card, what does it say?
It says that the one is conception of theorism, basically the idea that humans are going to go extinct, locks us into a cycle of bare life.
What's the implication?
The implication is value life plan. And so if we're so focused constantly, and it also causes serial policy failure, because if we're so focused on encasing ourselves in this sarcophagus, well, we're never able to do it.
Sarcophagus? How does the
Yeah, a sarcophagus is like the metaphor, like we're so busy trying to protect ourselves in like a suit of armor, that that suit of armor then becomes a sarcophagus. That's the metaphor that Majority uses.
Sure. Yeah. Really quickly, do either of you mind if I restart my computer? We're just like not.
Do it. Sure. Sit here. Watch. It's like you followed me down the stairs and then.
How's your day?
It's good. Maybe you start.
What? Yeah, it's your
Yeah, my day's okay. Didn't start out well. I think I said I was sick. It's going alright. Who's your boss to?
McNeil.
Which one?
The Abraham.
Yeah. Can you go to PBI?
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a great guy. You do like a 1 hour restart or something?
Yeah.
What was the argument? Or are you not gonna share?
No. He read set call. I read 5 new shells.
What was the shell?
AFC,
Lord.
spec status, dispo bag, floated picks bag, fake odds
Hey
bag.
Judge, this kid needs help.
I read 5 new. I read 5 new shells.
Made the topic.
5 new shows.
Well, no,
So
theoretical
where's only
education.
4 minutes?
Theoretical education is key to substantive education.
No.
No.
Anyway, Judge, that's why you should evaluate after the 1 and 2.
Key to reciprocity means we each get one.
I don't know about that a little bit. prep?
Opening.
Okay. Are we doing 4 or 5?
Tournament says 5.
Damn. Did they like every tournament like make it 5 now? Because I remember it was 4 every time last year. Because I didn't get to go to tournaments like this because it sucked. Alright.
I'm not stealing from my side.
Good. Why would you lie to your fellow TDI prep group member?
Hello, Bobby. Cool. Starting prep. Stop prep. 131 again. Sending the doc. Case off some order. Case is just econ. Or affordability.
So it's econ, and then it's the control tag,
And then the design.
okay. So I saw you reading my cards at Grapevine.
Your cards are great line.
Yeah. T Universal. Healing. I'd have to make that my own independent voter history.
It turns out the Sheldon knew is lame because it was like something like weird.
Shell's fire. Alright, I'll tell you when it
It's
happens.
fire through violet.
Yeah,
Also, why were your standards so long?
because I made them long for new apps so that I can fill time. Alright, so it's econ and then opposite order.
Yeah.
I have the doc. I'll tell you when.
And then it's 16 off.
What?
I'm kidding. Imagine I do
I'm
a
gonna
restart.
pick you up and throw you like I did to Jen. None of that. You remember?
Okay.
You.
Yes, I found the photo of me getting like dropped out the window. Alright, is everyone
Alright,
ready?
yeah, I'm ready.
On economic extent, affordability current setting laws prevent construction while right housing stalls means workers are able to move to big cities. Less city regulations means they can't move because of high cost of housing allows them to innovate. It's also econ. The like stuff. Yes, we're still good means China and Russia overtake the US and destroy the liberal order, causing relevant transition war in every single hostile. That's Oppenheimer. No defense. Everything they read is about diversionary war, which is not our impact. And it's not system stable international order, but declining its capacity means the greatest welfare cities of the last 70 years goes away. There's stuff. Actual decoupling is proven globally launched. Taking my noise, the carbon triple the carbon showing up product reducing environmental for me as I consume 25% less for life support decrease 32% 50 billion people 12 countries are in first consumption what is declining. There's been a marked decline in minerals, cement, sand, and gravel. Actual consumption dropping important. Not too much last year reduced damage environmental effects decline after high GDP reduction, but relative absolute check-in includes efficiency and reduced consumption, digital economy replacing physical goods, theory predictions. Now, truth, noise, competition can cause no self-replicating tech impact. everything is overhyped, emerging tech mature adoption challenges and real world effects include AI space, hypersonics, quantum biotech, all nascent tech cannot be as a game-changing greatest discussion take place or maturity, usability, and publicity are inversely correlated. Tech dissolution when limitation comes for attention did not represent tech assessment, reflects political actors and media promoter religion actors beyond wonder question effectiveness the case. Their studies are individual people fearing their own deaths, which is different from saying we should reduce the risk all people die. They're weird sociopaths are saying it's okay to kill everyone. Accident for breeds compassion and empathy, non-reactionary racism, and its context specific when he cases Secretary Vale at 09, private compassion while he's led to lower violence, accident reflection motivating presidential violence, tolerance, egalitarianism, and empathy, perception, bolsters support for peaceful coexistence in the face of death awareness, uncertainty, do not produce reaction to control values, motivation, support, passion, and values that just that. Just as to be intrinsic to the plan, the one area may present a minor repair to the plan, just test the link, otherwise they're illogical and irreversible since they don't plan the plan is intrinsically bad and lead to recycle generics like cosmetic. We get a minor repair to the video, could often something which solves the moving target arguments. Minor repair to the plan and pass Saudi Israeli normalization goals. I set the perm tax. PC is low now. IRA is Biden slash link 816 in the aftermath of COVID. Biden decided to spend limited PC to support multiple unrelated goals and national recovery costs. Similarly, the economy restructure industry, similar one PC legislation to accelerate option the elections and promote surgical just as this was too strongly that's your PC or Biden's win only AA. IRA costs the greatest expenditure of PC, hoping to build it back into first see significance of climate law, culmination of heavy lifting to convince a skeptical public that success is a result in economic benefit. Biden has no PC and the economy is why Polity 22. He has already been burnt PC polling. I got my 15 percentage points. That's on the legislative agenda for the rest of his resurfacing applies to rising prices, sharply slowing economy, influencing new political prospects, the worst environment, winter winners win, came to everyone. And then starting to then by focusing on domestic issue and momentum and CPC is like a muscle. The more you exercise, the more you have it is not finite. If we do positive things, we got more likely to do even more. Go to the campaign first. Cancel the direction one and zoning reform must be state and federal color. And to do affecting housing supply, substantial portion of the land is owned by the federal government. Then Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, California, Montana, want to do build land manufacture the BLM, significant portion within a city boundary. Las Vegas is landlocked by federal land. JC study indicating federal land is adjacent to developed studies. Developed areas, federal reform significantly influenced housing supply. Federal reform is no way substitute for certain part of the state level. Federal reform policy to Western housing markets are under pressure prone to both either shows linked to policies because Biden can pass on federal action as a result of state pressure, or they link to the net benefit because Biden inevitably gets blamed or prone to the capital plan is implemented by state courts in election to statute and confide the right to constitutional amendment that involving nature housing stages. Legislators probably got to balance the need to construct more housing around help interveners such as rents and grow the supply. Axel states better the plan applies to the federal and state governments. Didn't read 4 or 5 on the dissent.
Alright, I guess, like, what was the theoretical argument above the disadvantage?
Dissents must be intrinsic to the plan. The 1 year may present a minor repair to the plan to test the link. Otherwise, they are illogical and irreciprocal.
What does it mean for the dissent be intrinsic to the plan?
It means there's a link that is specific to the affirmative.
Why?
We think generic recycling links are bad for topic education.
Okay.
You can read this, or you can read like politics on every single topic, but you can't read things like core clock. Like,
Alright, and the other theoretical argument was on the critique, right?
there's a theoretical argument of like critique.
I swear I heard you say they're saying we should kill everyone drop. If you didn't say that, that's cool.
I said their studies are about individual people fearing their own death, which is different from saying we should reduce the risk all people die. They are weird sociopaths saying it's okay to kill everyone.
Okay, but that's not a reason to drop them.
No.
Okay, cool. Alright.
So the order is just going to be politics, DA, states counterpart, and then contention.
Just add time in case.
Yeah.
Can I get the order in case? Is it gonna
It's
be?
the one contention you extended.
But it's like the 1NC stuff, the 1NC stuff.
It's the one in system, I guess. It's just. Are you ready? You just.
Yeah.
Spheres of influence outweigh and turn the case. They have conceded our impact, so if we beat these political capital arguments, you should vote negative. China's sphere of influence outweighs on time frame. Our evidence specifically makes the uniqueness claim that China has been meddling with U.S. influence in the Middle East, so it becomes try or die for the normalization deal. But it also turns great power war, because China does not stop at the Middle East and uses regional settlements to try and fight the U.S. everywhere, which escalates the miscalculation. That's 1NC Brown, so you should not allow them new weighing arguments in the 2 arguments. We do not get a 3NR to respond to them, which means that you should default to the 2NR analysis. 1AR1, intrinsic permutations are a voting issue for AF condo. It means that no counterplan would ever compete, and the negative is always behind because we can never actually generate competition due to intrinsic curve, creating artificial net benefits through planks. It also prevents substantive testing of the affirmative because it means that we can never generate a true opportunity cost to the plan. 1AR2 is wrong. You should prefer a contextual analysis from our evidence, which says that Biden is working overtime and actively increasing his political capital in order to do this deal, but that does not mean that it's necessary guaranteed. The Schwartz-Schotter and Trust evidence from the 1NC specifically says that Biden is working really hard right now to be able to do this. Their evidence being newer does not matter because it is not specific to this issue in this round, which means that you should err on the side of specificity in the negative arguments. It says that the evidence specifically says that Biden is actively working to overcome tricky details and Congress's hostility, and that these demands are hard to satisfy. You should additionally give us a risk of this because of specificity and because it is about the specific scenario of the negative. And 1AR3 on this argument about 0 BC or winners win. I'll answer this here on the arguments here because of the fact that that does not assume this specific scenario. This evidence is from the same day as ours, but ours is better because it talks about why Biden needs to actively expend political capital on this, political capital for this. This is not necessarily a bill that needs to happen like the others, but rather Biden is trying to get this through Congress, and then it means that it is not necessarily the generic politics shutdown that everyone else is reading because it is about something else that requires approval, not necessarily a bill. And on this other argument here about Biden having no political capital in the economy is why you should reject this argument because it is really, really old. It is a year older than the 1NC uniqueness evidence, and is far older than their evidence. And they have not isolated why this necessarily non-uniques to disad because of the fact that we do not necessarily know that that's still the case. You shouldn't presume it is. Prefer the 1NC uniqueness question on this. On the winners win argument, winners win is wrong because of the fact that it just seems to say that the Democrats are spreading themselves thin, but that just means that we're right, and this argument about momentum and political capital is like a muscle more you exercise it, but that is not true because political capital is obviously finite. If Biden spends all his resources on this one thing, on the plan passing, then Biden is not able to focus on anything else. We have limited time in a day. If you only have 24 hours in a day to work on something, then that does not mean that you can just work on both or that it allows you to do better, but that means that winners win is empirically disproven. Additionally, is that we can see that winners win is wrong because of the fact that the housing policy has failed in the past, which means that it is decisively not a win, and Biden will require tremendous effort to be able to do this. And this deplete argument, I didn't read that way. States counterpart. Extend the counterplan. It solves entirety of the app because states are able to implement their own right to housing in their own constitutions. It avoids politics because it means that Biden is not blamed for this happening. But even if you think that it doesn't avoid that and they're winning an argument, then judge kick it because it's conditional. They don't have a reason why that is necessarily bad. But I'll win that the counterplan is able to solve the app here because of the fact that the Massimo evidence from the 1NC specifically says that policies show that the states are able to do it and that domestic courts are able to do it through the state state and that otherwise it gets circumvented, which was conceded. That means that the states are necessary, and they said it can't solve because the state and federal are key, but that is also wrong. Here's why. It's wrong because of the fact that that evidence that they read is just saying about the government owning lots of land, but that would obviously not be where the houses are, as Jason has specifically told you that these houses need to be built in areas where large innovation takes place, not on wilderness and national parks. On this argument here about perm do both links to the net benefit because of the fact that perm do both means that the Biden still has to expend effort on it, and that doesn't mean that it links to it, and it doesn't shield it either because of the fact that Biden is uniquely having to expend effort on it, whereas he would not have to with the states. It requires effort in order to pass it in Congress because of the fact that
The plan would need to go through Congress. They would need to do that. It doesn't work.
permutation do counterfeit they've conceded are competition evidence, and it's more specific than theirs because it specifically talks about the United States being legally defined. This is the most precise definition that has been read in the round because it's talking about how the term United States is used throughout federal government documentation like Title 28, and it refers to the United States, the U.S., just United States by itself means the federal government and D.C. So that means that the permutation is severance, which is a voting issue because it allows AFCONDO and shifts the plan based on how the debate goes. And on this argument about the dissad not being allowed, counter-interpretation is that we get the politics dissad, and the net benefit is negative flexibility on a topic where we do not have dissads other than the econ DA. Would you rather that I read the unique politics DA with a specific scenario and a link to the affirmative, or would you rather the recycling of the econ DA for the 100,000th time? On this argument about intrinsic to the plan, we need this argument because we've read a reason why the plan uniquely causes this. And on the case very quickly, they say that it is not their argument because it's talking about diversionary war, but the wall evidence is right here. It specifically means that you cannot vote affirmative because of the fact that countries that are facing decline are not able to go to war because they do not think they will win. That's warranted in the wall 20 evidence of the 1 and C. You can read it. It's pretty good on this. But even then, due to their concession of our argument, you should err negative here. And I'll extend some more warrants from the wall thing. It says that in times of decline or in low growth, there are less likely to have wars. That doesn't matter if it's a diversionary war or not because it's talking about war in the first place, and it also means security is no cause.
So nag.
Let me check how much I have. 131. Wait, was that taken? That was taken. So let me do the math.
You have 330.
329. Go on, case extend affordability. Current zoning laws prevent construction, but rent housing solves because it means workers are able to move to big cities. There's less zoning regulation, means that they can't move because of the high cost of housing. The impact debate here. The extension law was 15 seconds air after they consider a few key warnings. Framing issues that they misunderstand our impact scenario. This is not your generic diversionary war impact. Versus the scenario is that China and Russia overtook the US and destroyed the liberal order, causing parallel and transition wars in every hotspot. Means their defense doesn't apply because their evidence is saying that countries would not want to launch a warfare in economic decline. But it's specifically transition wars. The evidence specifically about transition wars, which means the US sees it as try or die because the alternative is China and Russian leadership. Means they will go to US irrationally just to prevent their sort of enemies like China and Russia getting power. Second is that they conceded that their assumes a stable international order, but declining US capacity means the greatest source for peace of the last 70 years goes away. If you're not sure about this impact debate, read Oppenheimer. It's really long, but really, really good. The dissent. We're going to go for two arguments on the dissent. First is the sort of this uniqueness argument, and second is the winners win. You can extend the link evidence. First we'll extend like the warning link. It just says that PC is blown out because it uses because Biden uses PC on IRA. There's sort of a double bind coming out of the one area. Either PC is limited and Biden has already used it all up on IRA, or it's not limited, in which winners win is just a sort of true link turn. You should frame the link debate through uniqueness. It doesn't matter how much the AFT decreases political capital if he doesn't have any political capital in the first place. Ling talks about how he was trying to waste his political capital on multiple unrelated goals. The sort of national recovery, the IRA, means they use it all up. This sort of specificity outweighs time frame, and this stuff doesn't make sense. This is a politics you said. Obviously, the uniqueness conditions change. If we're winning that, if Ling says there's zero PC now, it doesn't matter how specific it is. It talks about all of Biden's PC. There's no implication as to why specificity matters. If your evidence is really old, you should definitely err affirmative, given that there was a huge sort of non-unique argument. If you can't evaluate the non-unique or the uniqueness debate like for any reason, you can extend the like winners win link term. We'll extend it here. We're sort of saying that political capital is sort of unlimited, and that Biden using it more means that like people see that he's trying to help the economy, means he gets more political capital to do it in the first place. The Memoli evidence is really good. It says he convinces a skeptical public that successes result in economic benefit, given that they concede the entire internal link for the affirmative. That means there's a huge link turn because everyone sees that he's doing good things for the economy. The counterplan, really quickly, we're going to extend the print to the counterplan, HLR stuff, the like precision and specificity always stuff on this that can't be cross-applied here. HLR is so much more specific. You should read HLR after the round. It talks about the right housing, which means it's so much more specific. You can also crossify the explanation for printing, but that's the reason why it results. Either it shows the link to politics because Biden could blame sort of Congress, or it links to the net benefit because Biden inevitably gets blamed for the counterplan debate through the dissent. They need to win the dissent to win a net benefit if we're winning a link turn for that.
Y'all can stand here though if you want. I don't really care.
Straight?
Is it okay if I watch?
Yeah, sure.
Oliver, are you filming?
Yeah.
Take a look at your strat. Keep going. Alright, good luck. I'm actually go. I don't want to watch. Gotta die. Alright, good luck, Oliver.
See you.
You okay? Oh, you're standing
Yeah.
I'm almost done if y'all wanna like set up the tournament.
straight. Sorry.
I'm almost done with the RFD from the round before if y'all wanna like set up the tournament.
You already sent it.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, I haven't looked.
Yes.
Wait, you
Is it received?
yeah.
Alrighty. Are y'all ready? Okay, so at the end of the debate, the reason it takes me so long and I'm kind of frustrated is because it feels like there's very little actual impact comparison happening, and a lot of y'all telling me to just like read the evidence from both sides. This is kind of an issue. This kind of leads me to write a difficult RFD because it leads me to actually have to go back and read the evidence, which makes me feel like I'm just doing all the 2AR and 2NR work, and kind of have to like make some of my own decisions about what pieces of evidence are better or worse, right, and how they like implicate out of the debate. I start by looking at the counterplan. I don't really go back and look at much evidence here because I think the next winning the counterplan and it's competitive and solves the extension of the perm through the counterplan and the evidence read doesn't make sense in the, doesn't make sense since you've conceded the definition about what the USFG is, right? I think the better permutation extension here would have been perm do both, with an explanation of how that has a net benefit of the app, especially because the 2AR I do think is giving a much more clear extension of what your impact is than the 2NR is. And with like the minimal case defense that's in the 2NR, that probably would have been a winning 2AR for me, just going for that one permutation. But since I think that the counterplan solves everything, I go to the disad to decide whether or not it's a true net benefit. If I think that you're losing the disad, then I'd probably end up voting off because the counterplan really doesn't mean much to me at that point. But if I think there's a risk that the disad is even a little bit true, I'd probably end up voting negative. I go back and read the two pieces of evidence you told me to, and I'm gonna be honest, neither of them are great, and neither of them are very like impacted out of this debate or contextual as to how, like, both of these cards don't say that Biden's political capital is gone. You know what I mean? Like, both of them at the end, like, say that, like, he's just used a lot up, which I think means that there's still a risk that the link could sap more political capital, and the impact could be true. I'm, like, specifically looking at the Ling evidence in the winner's win card. Yeah. So, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, did you say who you voted for yet?
Oh, did I not?
No. You just went through it. I'm just
Sorry, Ned, yeah, sorry. That's my bad, I'm so tired.
It's okay, we all have.
Yeah. Do y'all have any questions though?
Yeah. So I guess, like, do you think that the answers to, like, the winners win stuff and all that were good? Like, I've never read politics since Saturday.
Not really.
Okay.
I think you just got lucky that when I went back and read the evidence, your uniqueness evidence happened to be better.
I thought I didn't, and for the impact comparison, I thought I did make a weighing argument at the top that wasn't read the evidence. Like, I thought it said that, like, it outweighs on time frame, so it turns theirs.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there's like minimal case defense in the 2 and R2,
Cool.
so
I thought,
that
like,
makes
the counterclaim was.
life difficult. Yeah.
Okay.
I also don't think you probably spent long enough on the counterplan. I think you also got lucky that the 2-air went for the wrong permutation.
Okay.
Like, I don't think there
Never
were
gone
like
for that either.
what?
Never gone for states counterclaim.
Real. I mean, extending the competition definition really did help you considering they went for perm to the counterplan, but had they gone for perm to vote, I think it would have been more difficult.
Okay, I guess, like, 2 and R overall, like, flow of it, like, did it sound good?
Yeah.
Alright.
I just think you're missing like some parts that like we just talked about.
Okay, but, like, the, like, flow of it,
Mhm.
like, alright, so, alright, I get it. Do you think that, like, the theory answers, like, intrinsic permutations and politics yeah, bad were, like, good?
The intrinsic permutation stuff it's not like a permutation and intrinsicness test. It's a little bit different. Think of it more like an AF counterplan kind of. Out of it is that it's a reason why they're trying to say that we could just do something that resolves the link to the dissat and the AF together, and because your link isn't specific to the link, because your AF isn't because your link isn't specific to the AF. There we go. It's a reason why the link is bad. Yeah. So your like intrinsic perm's bad argument didn't really engage with it. You also could have gone for that in the 2-air. I did bump your speaks because I was very happy that you read an intrinsicness test.
Oh, like, the theory argument, and, okay.
Yeah, but it's not saying intrinsic perms.
No, I thought it was, like, the argument that was, like, perm, and have it as, like, do plan and pass normalization bills. That was the argument that I got, it wasn't on the doc.
On states?
Yeah, that's what I was asking about, like.
Wait, I think you're talking about the intrinsic test on the
Oh, there
dissent.
were 2, they were similar, but I made, like.
That's not a permutation.
Oh, it isn't?
No. Think of it more like an AF counterplan, which doesn't really make sense, but it's like a third separate category from.
Okay, alright.
It's not, yeah.
Alright, so winning 2-air is case like beating back wall on the dissat going for minor repairs, the counterplan going for
Because like you're just ahead on the case page. You spend a lot of time on it in the
Yeah.
2-air too. Yeah.
Do you think that, like, Tito is the right route to go, or did you spend too long with that?
I just think that the app is correct on the TDEF page.
Wait,
Alright.
does Steve have like
Yeah.
What do you mean, does it
I mean,
link?
it links 'cause you're saying growth good, right?
well, because it's not like the generic like diversionary war stuff.
Right, that's why I'm saying I think you're just correct.
Cool.
Oh, you mean about that one, okay, yeah, I understand that. Thank you for judging, appreciate it.
Thank y'all, good round. Have a great rest of your day.
Way better than CDI, Jason, proud of you.
Me too.
I got worse than CDI. I made a semi. Can't even break it Loyola.
Do you read con now?
Yeah, every round. We have a pretty good con now that I cut. Yeah.
You think he's gonna? Dude, I hit 4 con debaters in the season.
It's okay. We're breaking a new path.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Wait, look, you just go for con spec.
No, Spec is a horrible.
Wait, I hate con. So
I love con. Did you read con at
Every
TDI, Jimmy?
Huh?
Did you read con at TDI?
No, because I was testing it out and I lost it out of 4 because I got completely destroyed by Alex.
Yeah, Alex and I cut the con half. Apparently, like, even like Vic, who's so close to you guys, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He said that this is like the greatest con half he's ever seen.
No, wait, I'm not
Alright,
even
cool.
to him.
Wait, do you just
I'm not even gonna try to go against con.
Sorry.
Wait,
It's alright. Like,
Good luck,
just
Gina.
some type of argument.
packing up my stuff.
Yeah.
Must be cool having students helping you guys, right? Must be cool having students helping you.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It's the best. I've also been reading Psycho. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm coming for you.
Oh my god.
Alright. Please. Yep, that is mine. Unless you want it.
Oh, dude, I feel on computer now for change.
Good. It's better than that one round, remember, with Adam and Luke? No. Better than not blowing it all.
Anything better.
Alright. Have fun, guys.
But
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Good round.
Decision was for the negative.